Welcome back to the Wine and Dime podcast, the podcast where we drink wine and talk hoops. I'm Chris and that's Lyndsay. We got a nice bottle of Flatrock Cellars 2023 Pinot Noir, and the trade deadline was more popping than I think everyone anticipated. Trade deadline appears to be back.
Yeah, so we're trying this again after some technical difficulties derailed us right after the trade deadline. We decided to wait and come up with some superlatives because there was actually a lot that happened. Yeah, word on the street is that the trade deadline is back. I think the new CBA stuff is definitely impacting that. Although what's weird about this trade deadline is it wasn't really moves made for like this year. It was mostly made for next year. A lot of
teams are trying to duck that second apron, get some maneuverability, keep some assets to trade for Yanni.
It also kind of led to some people, I think players being on the market, though, that might not normally have been on the market, and teams who are out of it this year, but no, like the Pacers, like, we'll get to their move, but they were kind of the most classic example of this, but of just kind of being like, well, we're in a depressed position right now, but there's like an asset on the market we didn't know was available that probably wouldn't be next year and we'd have to pay more for, so why not?
As an editorial note, we had originally recorded this mere minutes after the trade deadline ended, but unfortunately, because of said internet issues, the recording looked like the Patriots-Broncos game, man. It was bad. You couldn't see shit. Like it was a mess. Couldn't hear nothing.
Yeah, Chris's audio just didn't upload. It was great. Yeah, it was super good. So we're going to start over. Like I said, we said in that clip, and then now we come up with some trade superlatives. So I guess we would have, if you are following us on Instagram, you would have heard that our first one was actually a nice little segue of we're drinking Ontario wine, and the Raptors did make some moves at the deadline. And yeah, the Best Exile Award goes to Chris Paul because he has officially been sent to Canada.
They sent him north of the wall, Game of Thrones style, as punishment for his bad behavior in the locker room with the Clippers.
Like, go freeze.
He's on the Night's Watch now. They told him he don't even have to report. They were just like, hey man, you really don't have to go to work tomorrow. Like, it's okay. You can stay. You look a little sick. You should stay home.
Yeah, you should probably. And I think the Raptors are probably going to waive him, to be honest. The entire trade was, on the Raptors' perspective, was basically just a way to duck under the first apron and get out of the salary tax because Ochai made more money than Chris Paul. So basically, by just trading for Chris Paul, it got them under the $900,000 that they were over or whatever. It was the best salary dump award could also go to the Toronto Raptors in this case too, because it worked for both teams. It was the rare double salary dump. The Clippers the Nets got Ochai for their troubles and some cash from the Clippers. It all worked out in the end.
It's gotta feel kind of sad to be drafted in the first round, a lottery pick no less, to be on your second team, and your second team is dumping your already pretty affordable contract just to have it off the books. I mean, that's got to be tough for the ego for sure, but he's shown flashes of being a good player, man. Hopefully he finds something at his next destination, but unfortunately not in that crowded guard and wing rotation in Toronto.
That was the trouble, is he was pretty good last year, and I think the challenge is that if he'd been as good as he was last year, this year, he might not have been the one on the trading block quite as much. But the Raptors are a little more invested in someone like Grady Dick, for instance, because one, his shooting is profiles to be better. If he can become the shooter he was at Kansas, actually, hilariously, him and Ochai both so far disappointing Kansas draft picks. Raptors didn't make the Ochai pick, but still. He showed a lot of flashes. Sorry?
Grady?
Grady and... Yeah. And I love Ochai. I really did think he was great for the team. The problem is that he's a little bit small to be a wing, but he's not really a great, he's kind of in between a little bit. He fit what we did, but unfortunately, like you said, it's a very crowded position group, and he wasn't playing as well as he did last year. Last year, he had a career year from three, and I think Darko is being forced to tighten the rotation at the end of the bench this year, right? There's expectations, so players like Grady and Ochai and Jonathan Mogbo, all of them are starting to feel that, okay, we actually have to develop a little bit faster, and unfortunately, Ochai's contract was just the more expensive one of any of them. So
yeah, Mogbo's supposed to be in the G League. I've been watching a lot of him up close. And I don't know that he's separated himself at that level of competition yet. He's a pretty good, pretty useful defensive player, but he hasn't really asserted himself on the other end yet.
I think he's regressed a little bit this year. His rookie season was definitely much more productive. Again, some of that was just a forced into playing more minutes situation because of injuries and general roster upheaval. But this year, I think he could still play a very useful role. We don't really have anyone who can play at, in the big, the front court. So he could play, he played the five a bit last year. He can functionally kind of do that. Him and CMB could sort of play the same role, but CMB basically has just been better. And now, obviously, Trace Jackson Davis, who also came to the Raptors at the deadline, I think will get a chance to show what he's got. He looked pretty good in his first game. So, yeah, I think CMB just kind of came in and snatched Mopo's chain a little bit. Yeah, walk in your trap, take over your trap, It's tough. Man. It's rough out there.
So the spirit of Project 6ix9ine lives on, with one overtaking the other in traditional fashion in Toronto.
They're cannibalizing themselves. There's just too many. But I mean, the thing with getting a player like Brandon Ingram is that it clarified the rotation in a way, and so then it's left Darko kind of surge. And then unfortunately, as a result, the bench has been a little bit weak, and it's forced Darko into playing some interesting lineups. And he's trying to give guys chances. It's not like he's a Michael Malone type who's like, we got to win games, so I'm going to bench all my rookies. Like Darko's trying to develop players, but unfortunately, you have to show signs of development to stay on the floor when there become expectations. Because at the end of the day, even though I think his job is fairly safe, life comes at you fast in this league, and the Raptors, and I don't really know, Raptors ownership has definitely changed too, right? We don't have the steady hand that we had in Masai. Like Bobby is still a very steady hand, but Ed Rogers becoming the controlling person in MLSE has definitely changed the vibes with the team the last couple years. So, who knows? I think Darko definitely is not coaching for his job, but again, you just never know. And you have to at some point show development to stay on the court, and that's kind of the problem for... Like, Ochai shows good defensive instincts, he's just a little small. Grady just hasn't been able to quite catch up, and he's shown a lot of effort, he's trying, but then he just gets caught in these weird situations, and you're like, oh boy. Oh, baby boy. Yeah.
Still got a popular jersey around Scotiabank Arena, though, I gotta say. I still see a lot of people rocking that one.
It's still the best, and the jersey swaps are elite, and I like that he knows what he's doing, so, yeah. Anyways, I guess we can move on. Chris Paul will not be a Raptor, but that Raptors Chris Paul jersey is going to hit. Much like the Mellow Hawks jersey, yeah. It's
going to be a Summer League classic. You're going to see someone in the Chris Paul Raptors jersey at the Summer League one day in Vegas, and you're going to be like, when did he get that custom? And then you realize, wait, he played for the Raptors for like a week and a half that one time. Like, that's...
Yeah, he was technically on the roster and payroll.
Yeah, briefly. Yeah, probably got at least one check, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Speaking of the Raptors, the best Masai Ujiri impression goes to the Chicago Bulls and the House of Guards. They, my goodness. We talked about Project 6-8 or 6-9 or whatever it was with the Raptors, and how every single player on that team was a 6'9" wing. The Bulls said, we can do you one better. Everyone's going to be shorter than 6'9". That's what we're going to do. We're going to have 8,000 guards. We're going to look like a Division III team out there.
They looked at their guard rotation, and they were like, you know what we need? More guards. But different ones. But more and different. We're going to get rid of, we're going to build this whole house around Josh Giddey, and it's all going to be guards.
They added Colin Sexton, another, short scoring guard. They added Anthony Simons, who's about the same size and does about the same thing, just from different spots on the floor. Yeah, all the tall people are gone, man. Chicago does not give a shit about the outcome of this season, particularly. They're just loading up on that one spot. Shout out. They freed Yuki. Yuki played a little bit.
They did. I'm genuinely kind of... Oh, they also got Jaden Ivey. I'm also, genuinely concerned, and that was a good move. I think the Jaden Ivey movie was, smart, because I think he's got a ton of talent. He had obviously shown flashes in Detroit before his injury, which came at a really terrible time. But he just didn't quite fit next to Cade. But I think that Jaden Ivey can be really good next to Giddey. I think it can work. Great flyer. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? You're kind of buying into a distressed asset. The trade that I don't really understand is the Kobe White trade. I don't really know why they got rid of him to bring in Colin Sexton, unless it's just merely a contract thing.
I think they just didn't want to pay him because he's a better player.
And
that Conley Bulls jersey, another one that's going to go hard at Summer League. Mike Conley was a Bull for a day and a half, and now he's going back to Minnesota.
Same with the Conley Hornets jersey.
Oh my God.
But I just don't understand it because Kobe White is a better player. It had to be financial, but is Colin Sexton making that much less money right now, or is his contract expiring?
The Bulls might just be a more expensive team than we realize. Because they were going for it for a while. They were really trying to win.
Well, that's for sure why they got rid of what's his face, Vooch. Okay, I want to contract there, buddy. Yeah, I don't know. It was a bit confusing because Kobe White is a much better player.
They got, I think. Okay, so Sexton
is
expiring.
Sexton's expiring. Yeah.
Ivy his team option is this season, so he's going to be expiring as well.
Yeah.
Yabusele, who they just got from the Knicks, also expiring.
Yeah.
Nick
and
Richards,
cheap too, anyway.
Nick Richards, they just got from the Suns, also expiring.
Yeah. They're clearing cap.
Simons expiring too. Everybody coming off the books.
Yeah, they're expiring. That makes more sense then. Because I was just... The thing with Kobe White, though, that I just wish they had traded him sooner if they weren't going to pay him. Because I think they would have gotten more for him. But that's just, unfortunately has been the situation in Chicago with Karnisovas. He's been kind of slow to trade players. Although, I mean, he did okay with Vooch. Paid too much for Vooch, obviously. Franz Wagner being part of the Magic is definitely tough. But, yeah. But, what are you going to do? is what it is. But yeah, it did feel a little bit kind of just like we're moving guards around for this. The project less than 6-9. Definitely.
Project 6-3.
Yeah, Project 6-3. Project House of Guards is definitely kind of felt similar, but just kind of the next one here, we've got the best reshuffling of the deck chairs. So basically just like making moves for kind of the sake of it, but like the quality of the players don't really seem any different. And this one goes to the Lakers for the Luke Kennard move. It just felt like, okay. I mean, they need shooting, obviously. I mean, every team who trades for Luke Kennard is trading for him for a reason. But there's also a reason he's never stayed on a roster for very long, and it's because he's a very flawed player. So I just don't think he helps the Lakers. He doesn't play defense, which is kind of their problem. He can shoot, which they do need next to Luka. I think he's a good
44% for his career from three.
Like he's a very good player, and especially he's the right type of player next to. Like he's a Luka Doncic type of role player.
Yeah. He can handle
the problem being, you kind of also need to have a much better defense if you're going to also play Kennard and Luka together.
And Austin Reeves.
And Austin Reeves.
And the 40-year-old version of LeBron, who is he'll give you 10 good defensive possessions.
Let's be real though, LeBron hasn't played like really elite defense for like at least 10 years.
Probably not since like the last couple of days of his stint in Cleveland. Like, you know what I mean?
And only when he had to. Like
yeah.
He coasted pretty hard.
Just the playoffs.
He coasted hard for most of the year. He knew exactly at what moments in each game he needed to play defense, and that was exactly as much defense as he played.
Yep.
But he was also, to be fair, dragging 4 other dead bodies into the playoffs. So, like, you know, it happens. But, yeah, the Lakers kind of just, they did something, and I don't know what it does for them other than it adds another white man who kind of looks like the other ones.
They're going to have to win every game 140 to 130 in the playoffs. Yeah. Somehow, because they can't stop a nosebleed. Was Jackson Hayes gonna anchor that defense?
Jackson Hayes beefing with mascots, always a bad call.
Don't think so. But is he still? it would be really embarrassing if he was not still. Like, yeah, he is. He's gonna be in the dunk contest. That might be the Lakers' one chance of winning something this year.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't want any part of it. I mean, I don't know. The Lakers are weird too because they just also like Luka's. Just, I don't know, nothing about it feels right. I don't know, nothing feels like it's good vibes. No one's happy. I guess we didn't really address it, but the big kind of piece that Baxter Holmes came out with about all the Laker bus family drama, that was also pretty crazy. I don't know if you read it or not, but pretty wild. Okay, well, some pretty classic Lakers soap opera shit. Basically, like, Jeannie Buss kind of alienated LeBron. Obviously, Bron took a very, like, I wasn't involved in any of this kind of stuff, even though he probably was, because LeBron's messy. We all know he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him and Rich Paul always.
The Lakers. I mean, you call them a soap opera. There's literally been an HBO series about the Lakers front office, and then a Netflix series about a lightly fictionalized version of the Lakers front office.
Basically, the Lakers. Yeah. Oh, the Lakers. The Lake Show.
Attract drama. They do. They love it.
Yeah. So, anyways, everything about that team just feels odd, and it feels like, and I don't know, this is going to sound harsh, but until LeBron retires, I don't really feel like the Lakers they're going to be in a weird spot, or until like LeBron leaves, because I don't think you can build around Luka with the shadow of LeBron there, and those two aren't really working together the same way that you would kind of expect, but it also feels like, because I don't think LeBron really expected this to happen. I don't think this trade had LeBron's blessing, and I think you know that because, like, Pelinka was very clear about how secretive, like, no one else knew. That was part of why the trade was so bad, is because no one else knew. And I am willing to bet that Pelinka just, like, that fell into his lap, and he's like, I can't ask LeBron because I don't give a shit. I gotta take this chance.
Yeah,
like,
you have to take Luka if he's available.
And, I mean, then it becomes... I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is you make LeBron look like a hypocrite because he always claims that he wants to play with stars and then, gets a little whiny about it. But whatever. Like, that's just kind of the LeBron James experience, unfortunately. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think he had a choice. I don't think LeBron had anything to do with it because no one else knew. Like, I genuinely don't think Rich Paul knew it. No one knew. So, because Luka's not represented by Clutch, I don't
think so.
No. I think he's CAA, maybe. Or a European agent. I can't remember. But regardless, pretty wild circumstances. But the vibes just haven't been the same, and it's like, it's weird. It feels different than like when Anthony Davis came to the Lakers, and it's like, it's because that's what LeBron wanted, and therefore they fit better. It was, made more sense. But yeah, the dynamic is strange, and it's kind of putting a pallor on everything. On top of the fact that they have a lot of pressure to keep Austin Reeves now, right? And, I mean, I think they can pay him the most, but, I mean, obviously Austin's going to go wherever the most money is going to be, because why would you not? If you're him.
It's weird that he's older than Luka. I didn't realize that until I looked at the roster just now. Like, he's actually older than Luka Doncic is.
That's pretty crazy.
Because he hit the league at 23.
Yeah,
He was like a
fully
classic
formed.
old school, like really played in college the whole way. Oh my God,
Yeah.
Basketball Reference has him listed as Hillbilly Kobe.
Yeah, that was his nickname his first year. You didn't know that?
I somehow did not hear that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think his style is
Uh,
that similar to Kobe. I think he's more like Hillbilly
it
Luka, to
was
be
it
honest.
was just in the first year when no one really knew his style that much, and
Yeah,
he kind of was
yeah.
like just getting his own buckets a little bit. That's all he was really like doing. Yeah, that was Mir and Fader did a piece on him in his rookie season, I think, because he kind of like broke out, and they talked about it was really cute. They talked a lot about his because he grew up with Malik Monk and just like their friendship and stuff. It was a really cool piece, but yeah, Hillbilly Kobe was kind of like the nickname that Mello and all those guys gave him. Yeah. It's
Free
better than
Malik
AR.
Monk too.
It's better than
Free him.
AR-15. One,
Yeah.
because AR-15, the association, terrible, but two, because I'm sick of the player initial number combination. It's boring. And
That's one of the only ones that works. AR-15 works because he's a white shooter, and then
yeah,
and then
but it also doesn't work.
AK-47 worked for Andrei
Yeah,
Kirilenko
but it
because
also
he's from the
doesn't.
town with the AK-47.
Yeah, it worked better for AK-47 also because there's not like the implication of like he's a white American shooter and there's just a lot of shooting.
That's the culture, man. Unfortunately,
Yeah, like
they give him the school
unfortunately.
shooter nickname. Hey, man, it is what it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Andrei Kirilenko was like cool because it wasn't quite the same. Things were not the same.
Hey, the AK-47
Climate was different.
is the gun of revolutions worldwide, man. That's the group of
Yeah,
that's like
yeah,
the rebel gun, man. Like
like Comrade
AR-15
Wemby.
is the AR-15 is the I'm shooting up the mall.
Yeah, 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 pretty much. AR-15 is, yeah. So anyway, we're gonna keep moving. Oh, you're up next.
All right, so we're gonna do best homecoming. I gotta bring up my Knicks at least once, at some point. Jose Alvarado is now a New York Knick, New York native, Puerto Rican dude. Is gonna be playing in Madison Square Garden, and he's already paying dividends. He looked really good in his debut with the team. Between him and Karl Anthony Towns, a New York City team having a Puerto Rican player and a Dominican player is the city is buzzing right now. Like I swear, if this was Patrick Ewing's era and we had a Jamaican player on the team too, I mean, it would be the New Yorkness would just be too much. Like the
Gotta go
state
trade
of New
for
York
Norm
would
Powell.
collapse around the city. There would just be like a crater in it because the vibes would be too powerful. Like it's. But also, like on a more practical note, Bruce McBride unfortunately out with surgery to a core muscle. One of the most important players on the team, quietly. He's going to be out until at least the start of the playoffs, and bringing Alvarado in and not giving up that much, just Yabusele in a couple of seconds, basically. You got a guy who can legitimately guard the point of attack, which is something they've really needed, and who can play off the ball a little bit. He can handle it a little bit. He's not a star, but he's a good player, and they needed a backup guard. Kolek is cool, but I think the coach doesn't really trust him in high leverage situations. He's got a little creativity to his game, but I think he trusts Alvarado more, especially because of the defense. So that's a really nice addition for them, like a really good pickup.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of Alvarado's been coveted by teams for a long time, but then he kind of fell off and kind of just disappeared. Got lost in the sauce in New Orleans, which, well, being from New Orleans, I'm sure it's a tasty sauce. It was also disturbingly, I don't know, it was just incompetent. It was bad. It's
It's
bad
the
down there.
basketball hinterlands. It's the place to
Yeah,
be in life, but it's the basketball hinterlands right now.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good move for the Knicks. Can't hurt them. They need anyone who can play defense, especially around JB and Cat. And it's just like his energy too, and totally. I think the fact that because he's from New York, so like, right?
Yeah, he's from
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
yeah, yeah.
Played
So the fact he's
played
like,
high school ball in Queens, I think.
the fact he's also from New York really helps. It's always like fun when you have a hometown guy. Just like as a fan, it just makes it more fun to root for him anyway. So yeah, I think that was like a really sneaky, under the radar kind of move too. It didn't really get a ton of attention, but it was a solid one, and probably should have gotten more attention. But the one player I'm really surprised that nobody traded managed to like pry from the Pelicans was Trey Murphy, because I think he would be on the board for the right price. I really want the Raptors to try and go get him in the offseason, but we'll see what happens.
There was a quote going around Twitter. I don't know how substantiated it is, but some reporter tweeted it out, and he said that the Pelicans believe they have a playoff roster and they're not interested in a major shakeup. And I was like, based on what exactly do you believe you have a playoff
I
roster?
think Joe. I think Joe Dumars is just getting drunk on hurricanes in the office. I don't think he's actually working, because if that's
Zion's been playing and they're still ass. Like, the one excuse that they've had to fall back on every year for being terrible is, well, Zion couldn't get on the court, but when he comes back, we got something, blah, blah, blah. He's been playing and they're still trash. I
yeah,
don't know
that
what there is to
narrative.
blow up. I don't know how much value anybody has, but somebody's got to do something.
Trey Murphy the third probably is their player with the most value, and then Jeremiah Fears and Queen like they're rookies. But I mean, Queen, not even, because of just considering like what went into drafting him. They're going to want too much because of, sunk cost fallacy. But Trey Murphy III, I think, was gettable. And I know the Raptors were definitely sniffing around. I know he was mentioned by a few different Raptors reporters as people who at least the team in theory should be interested in if they're not. But I think the price, at least in mid-season, is probably a little high, especially considering luxury, like just financial considerations for the Raptors. But yeah, the Zion argument thing is cooked. I don't even know what they do with Zion. He's like recovered some value in the sense that he played, but the fact the team has been trash around him, it's not going to get put entirely on Zion, but it probably should be put on him a little bit because he also just never really developed into the player he was supposed or could have been, or I don't know. He just really didn't develop, which I guess, to be fair, it's hard to do that when you're injured all the time, but still.
Yeah. They have a worse record than the Wizards, who are actively trying to be dog shit.
Yeah, they have a vested interest in being bad.
Yeah.
Not good. Like I said, I'm sure that like the party must be strong in the front office. They're just getting lit on hurricanes because that's the only explanation for how wayward this is right now. Yikes. Anyway, quite the opposite. We're gonna go best rich getting richer, and that would be the Thunder somehow managing to get frickin' Jared McCain from the Sixers. Like, for not really a lot. Like, and I get that McCain only played one season or half a season, but, I mean, he was, like, Rookie of the Year frontrunner, kind of came out of nowhere. Was looking real good before he got hurt. I mean, he never really found his footing this year, so he's a little bit of a distressed asset, but, I mean, barely. Like, this was a financial move, and it was a very strange financial move. I felt like he was probably a player they should have kept, even just for, like, the future developmental pipeline. But anyways, now he's a member of the fucking Oklahoma City Thunder, the team who don't need Jared McCain the most, and yet somehow they got him for, like, a pick and nothing. Really, it was, like, nothing. I mean,
I guess they thought there was a logjam behind Maxey, Edgecombe, and Grimes, but, like, man...
They got a first-round pick and 3 future seconds.
Yeah, I mean...
And a 2026 first round pick, not even a good one. The Thunder are gonna like probably be in the finals or like at least make it pretty far. They're gonna be at like the end of the first round. It's not even good.
We've told people repeatedly not to pick up the phone when Sam Presti calls. We've told people that for like a year and a half now. Like if he calls, just hang up. Just hang up.
I know
just decline the call.
Like I know that we're a small podcast and no one really listens to us, but like I think that we're right here. Like I know that, obviously we're not being paid by basketball teams to work for them, so like take whatever we say with a grain of salt. But I think we're correct in this take. Do not answer the phone. You will get fleeced. It will be bad. And especially because Sam Presti probably fucking knows Daryl Morey over there. Is like, oh shit, Daryl's gonna need to cut some salary. Wonder if I can like convince him to give me a pretty decent prospect for, basically like change he found in his couch, because if you consider how many picks the Oklahoma City Thunder have, pretty much just shook out the couch cushions in his office and was like, here, Daryl, do you want some lint and like some quarters? Found some loose change.
They probably got picks from some NFL teams even that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
They probably have the Steelers first in 2031 or some shit like that. I don't know how they got it. It's part of the Aaron Rodgers pickup or something, but like they have every fucking draft pick, man. And a lot of them are valuable picks from shit.
And they're barely even trading them. They're mostly just making the picks, and then those players are good. And it's like, bro, like you gotta miss at some point. Surely, right? Surely.
This is the shit I do on 2K to the computer because they don't know how to manage the salary cap. I do this shit every year, and I end up with like 86 first-round picks, and the game just lets me do it. This is exactly what this feels like. It's fucked up, Sam.
It's super funny because Daryl Morey always gets lauded as like one of the smartest general managers, like very moneyball, like cuts bait at the right time, picks up on like distressed assets, blah 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 blah, like makes all the pleasant, like the smart moves. And I'm like, it's definitely Sam Presti. I'm sorry, like the man just moves in silence, so we forget he exists, and that's the way he wants it. But straight psychopath over there, just
cooking
people. Just don't answer the fucking phone. God.
Don't do it. Say you were busy. Say you were on the toilet. Say whatever you gotta say.
Literally just say you had diarrhea. No one will ask questions.
I'll call you back, and then just don't.
And don't, yeah. Sorry, man. Busy. We'll have to get together sometime. Let's get drinks.
Yeah.
And then don't. Never get drinks. Never
Hit him
meet
with
up
a text.
with him.
I'm at the movie theater.
Yeah, can't talk.
I go to every movie. Don't call me back.
Cool story, bro. Can't talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have long distance calls. You're in Oklahoma. I can't make it work. I'm sorry.
You gotta call after 6 and then don't answer the phone because it's past your work hours. Like you can make up literally any number of excuses to not answer the goddamn phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can only call so many times.
Surely. He'll find someone else to fleece. I mean, he knows he can get everybody else in the league. So he'll move on from you. You just gotta like play dead. Just play dead. And he'll leave you alone.
Oh man. Alright, what's next? So, we've got the Detroit Pistons standing pat. for the most part.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of the most meh deadline. I think, they're cruising in first place. I think this is one of those situations where I just want to see, hey, we like this group. We just want to see how far they go and decide from there if we need more. Kind of like what the Thunder did a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, you got to see.
Got the young team. Fuck it, man. Everything's gravy. We got another year after this. Just see if they win some series. Throw them out there. Get them toughened up in the playoffs. And if it fails earlier than we want, all right, now we look at adding.
Yeah. And I think there's more incentive to do that now. Like, I think because of the financial implications of the new salary cap sort of aprons, and that I'm really not even going to pretend to fully understand, but just I know that it makes it very restrictive to make trades and make moves eventually. Like, you kind of don't want to cut bait too early on a team if you know that there's a potential that they're going to do, especially when you already have difficult decisions coming, like having to pay, which is part of why they got rid of Jaden Ivey, is because I think they knew they weren't going to be able to pay him or want to pay him, and they need to pay Jalen Duren and and Isaiah Stewart too. I think Beef Stew is he's kind of just like the emotional like leader of that team in a lot of ways, which is hilarious because he's also like possibly the most violent human being. But Beef Stew forever, I love him.
Culture setter, some would say.
That is a term you could use about Beef Stew. I love Beef Stew forever, but even when he's trying to murder LeBron on the court, just single-handedly trying to end the LeBron era. As a Raptors fan, I felt vindicated, but no, the Pistons are in a weird spot in terms of just having to pay people, and I think you're right. Like, they're a really young, up-and-coming team. We almost beat the Knicks in the playoffs last year. Like, let's see what we can do actually now.
Should have beaten the Knicks in the playoffs last year.
Right.
If we're keeping it a buck, they should have.
Probably, yeah. It was a little rickety for the Knicks there. I definitely thought the Knicks were losing, and then I was sort of shocked when the Knicks somehow just managed to not to beat the Celtics. But then it was like the Celtics always choke, so fair. They always choke till they don't, and then they win a championship. But until that point, they usually choke. So it's like, well, fair enough. Okay, the Knicks managed that, but it was definitely rickety against the Pistons. They exposed some stuff, and I think the Pistons obviously took that to heart, got better,
beaten the
and
shit
are now
out the Knicks twice this year. Too.
Wreaking
31 and 38.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, they're wreaking havoc on the league. They're definitely wreaking havoc on the league, and then. If anyone wants to argue about they're in the East thing, I mean, they just played the Nuggets. They just beat the Nuggets and played them close, and, that was a tough game. The Nuggets obviously have struggled a little bit since Jokic came back because he's on a minutes restriction, so I think that's definitely affected things. Also, other players being hurt, like Peyton Watson. And also another team who didn't really do much at the deadline. But, yeah, the Pistons, I think, have something going there, so it's worth it leaving alone. I think if they flame out pretty hard in the playoffs this year after being the 1 seed, then I think maybe changes are kind of going to come. Probably but even then, I don't think it's major things. I don't think it's bringing in a big starter, because especially now that Utah, which is a segue, well, especially now that they made their move, I don't think a player like Markkanen, who I think would fit the Pistons perfectly, is really available. So now, if that perfect fit's not available, I think it's more a matter of finding their kind of like Aaron Gordon, that kind of player who maybe, and I don't even know if it's for a starter. I think they need someone who can kind of replace Tobias Harris, kind of take that mantle of just really competent, always going to give you, 14 and 10 and a 14 and 8 and come off the bench and just be steady. They kind of need just those kinds of players, I think, to stabilize.
Yeah. They addressed shooting a little bit. They went and got Kevin Huerter.
Yeah.
That's kind of been the main issue for the Pistons the last couple of years. They need more shooting. And then, one of their best shooters maybe got himself kicked out of the whole fucking league after last season. So that, that was a need they had to address. But beyond that, they still need secondary ball handling.
Yeah.
Jaden Ivey, in theory, could provide that, but, he's no longer with the team. Huerter can kind of handle it a little bit, but he's not quite that second playmaker you would want.
No.
Next to a Cade Cunningham, and maybe they'll address that next season. Maybe they might just run to the finals without it. To be honest, so might as well just wait and see.
I suspect it's one of those moves that they'll probably deal with, and one of those things they'll deal with in the offseason, because I think they probably want to allow for some of the younger guards on the roster, like Ron Holland, people like that, to maybe sort of try and stretch their games a bit. You can always rely on steady Tobias Harris a little bit as you need. Especially come playoff time. But I suspect that's an issue. That's something they'll deal with in the offseason when probably more players are available. And again, offseason trades, I think everyone's talked about ad nauseum through this trade season in relation to Panda Watch, aka Giannis, is just that there's more stuff available to every team to trade in the offseason. And plus there's a little bit more urgency. This trade deadline, like we said earlier, was really more about moves for next year in a lot of cases. It was rarely about this year. Because I think every team kind of knows that trade deadline moves rarely help you the year of, and if you're the Pistons, you're not really incentivized to move off of. You're not like the Cavaliers where you're kind of trying to keep someone happy, like, you're not incentivized to do anything. And winning solves all. Right now, everyone's happy. You're at the top of the, that'll change. They'll probably get smacked in the playoffs at some point. Like, even if they go too far in the playoffs, they're going to get hit in 1 or 2 games. They're probably going to, 1 or 2 games where they get punched in the mouth and it exposes at least some of their flaws. And then they'll deal with it, much like the Thunder did. They were like, oh, okay, cool. We need someone to be like, we need Isaiah Hartenstein. Let's go
We need someone who can rebound.
Yeah.
Like,
turns
anybody
out
who can box out.
Yeah, it turns out Hillbilly Slender Man can't really rebound. Not his jam. Kind of skinny. Yeah, turns out you should need some heft. So I think the Pistons will be fine. It was probably smart. And I think Kevin Huerter was like a fine move. He's basically like Duncan Robinson. He's just like insurance. And Huerter has been digging himself out of the deepest of shooting slumps. And hopefully, now that he's no longer with the Kings or Chicago, 2 notoriously bad vibes teams, he will figure it out again.
He'll get easier looks there than he was probably getting at his last couple stops. But yeah, Chicago's offense was, it was booty cheeks. It was not good.
It was not great, but I think
it was automatic in Atlanta and for a little while in Sacramento too. So hopefully that comes back. 'Cause he's only 27, and it's not like he's it's not like he's getting old.
And I think his in Atlanta too was a lot of playing off like a point guard that had a lot of gravity, like Trae Young. And I think that Cade Cunningham, while not a Trae Young style player, has the same amount of at least gravity, but in different ways, right? And the fact that Cade can collapse the defense even better because Cade can get into the mid-range more and has a respectable mid-range game will open up the 3-point line for Huerter for sure. But like I mentioned earlier, the ideal player for the Pistons is probably off the board because the Utah Jazz are officially trying to shut down the tank. They're trying to put Patton in retirement and get out of the tanking business. They traded for Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr., from the Grizzlies.
The most interesting big man in the league. Brilliant defender. He's been Defensive Player of the Year. Can, guard on the ball, off the ball, all this shit, block shots, rebounds also, like a decent-sized shooting guard.
Emmanuel Quickley is definitely a more effective rebounder than Triple J, which is fucked up. The other thing with Triple J is he has that cat in him where he'll just make the stupidest possible fouls every opportunity. And you're like, how are you still doing this? This at your big age, you're still doing this? So, okay, cool. But I do kind of like this trade for Utah. I think the Jazz looked at the mountains outside and were like, yeah, we want that. We want 3 really large people in our front court. But it kind of works because Triple J at his finest does have a face-up game that he was able to expand quite a lot while Ja was out. Much like Lauri Markkanen, I think took a few years to just like take his lumps, but developed into that type of player who has a bit of an offensive bag. I think Lauri also proved in Cleveland he can play out on the wing a bit more, and he's just gotten even better at that in Utah. So having somebody like Triple J who actually has some gravity as well will only open that up. Plus Keontae George obviously has proven this year to the Jazz that he's a player that's worth keeping and probably accelerating as a result. I think if Keontae hadn't taken the step he's taken this year, they probably wouldn't have made a move like this to accelerate the timeline. But again, it's kind of a move for next year. Like they're motivated to not win a ton for the rest of the year to try and keep their pick this year. But I think honestly, like they also didn't give up a ton. They gave up like a couple picks, and they gave up. Utah got Jaren Jackson Jr., Jock Landale, who's also been fairly useful, John Konchar, and Vince Williams. Actually, wait, Jock Landale I think got shipped out somewhere else though.
He did. He beat up on Utah the first time they played each other at the trade too.
Yeah,
like he got a revenge game. It was like a 20 plus 10 plus double.
Where did he go again?
I always want to type his name as Jack, and I always forget it's actually fucking Jock. He plays for Atlanta now.
Oh yeah, the Hawks got him. I mean, that was actually a nice little pickup for the Hawks. But I mean, still, for Triple J, they only had to give up Walter Clayton, Kyle Anderson, Tyler Hendricks, George Niang, and 3 first-round picks. And I don't think any of those are like the most valuable of their picks. And they still have draft assets. They've spent most of the stuff from the Donovan Mitchell and Gobert trades now. But they still have a pretty solid like war chest of assets. On top of the fact that they didn't really give up like too many. Like Taylor Hendricks, I think, is probably the most like intriguing of any of the players they gave up. But he's coming off a pretty severe injury, so it's hard to know what's going to happen there. And I mean, John Konchar and Vince Williams are like low-key very nice little pickups for the Jazz because they just provide like a level, because the thing that the Grizzlies have done really well in the last 5 years or whatever in the draft is picking up those really like good kind of like 7 through 10 sort of players who just add really nice depth to your bench and can kind of stretch themselves to be like a 6, 7, 8 off the bench and give you good minutes, but they don't have to be stars. I think Vince Williams is pretty young. I think he's a nice little prospect. John Conchar just competent. So it just adds like a level of competency to the Utah Jazz roster that also hasn't been there for a while without necessarily just being veterans that are clearly not long for, playing there. So I actually don't hate the move. Plus, I do functionally think the three of them, like Walker Kessler, Triple J, and Lowry, can all play together.
If you combine the three of them into one person, you'd have like the greatest big man of all time.
Yeah.
Even as someone who very much does not like the Utah Jazz, I'm just glad to see them end this tank, because the whole thing started, they had like some nice young players. They were coming up. They're getting ready to make a push to the playoff spot, and they were like, you know what? Nah, fuck the playoffs, and just tank that shit. And it's been a 4-year tank, and I'm just like, I'm glad they're actually trying to acquire players that will make them better now.
Well, and it sucks because I've hated watching them waste Lauri Markkanen's prime, because I love Lauri Markkanen. Like, I mean, obviously, I was rooting for him the whole time because he's from Finland, and I'm just like, a one finished prospect in the NBA, like, want to cheer for him. But it was legitimately exciting to see him like bust out and like actually be amazing in FIBA, and then translate that into the NBA and actually become the player that like he was always meant to be when he got drafted. It's just like really exciting, and so I'm happy for him. And then it's been shitty that the Jazz have just been kind of wasting it. So I'm glad that they looked at the mountains on their jersey and were like, yeah, let's get 3 very large mountains to put in our front court.
I was worried that they were gonna like wait until Lowry was like 31 to try to be good again. So at least he's still in his 20s, and they're actually trying to like. And I read a
team on the court. I read a cool piece about how during the offseason, Keontae George went to Finland to spend time with Lauri Markkanen to kind of like get to know him better and like learn more and just like become better teammates. And it's obviously worked because their chemistry is a lot better this year, and Keontae has just really taken that next step. So it is exciting for the Jazz. I'm with you. I'll still never really root for them wholeheartedly, but I'm happy for Lauri Markkanen's sake that they're moving on. But I mean, I also can't blame the Jazz for what they've been doing. I mean, that's unfortunately what the NBA structure and like it incentivizes it, right? The draft structure incentivizes it, and then the lottery especially kind of the flattening the odds really didn't fix it. So I don't know, tanking unfortunately is like part of the game now, which is crappy, and the only ways to get rid of that probably are to abolish the draft.
Yeah. That's not going to happen either. These owners will never.
Well, no, absolutely, because that would be a labor win for players, and they don't want that. So
yeah, it also would it means that owners would no longer be saved from their own bad decisions. But Lowry quietly averaging a career-high 27 a game, and I didn't realize that Keontae George, just seen the clips of him cooking people and stuff like that, I didn't realize he was scoring almost 24 a night. I did not know he was already that good. And it's been
pretty efficient for Keontae, if I'm not mistaken.
It's been pretty good. He's better than I realized, because I am not watching Utah Jazz games.
The one thing that low-key scares me, but I'm like hoping that the history of the Utah Jazz comes in and saves us from this, but I'm worried because that was also the history of the Thunder for a while, is that they found a really good coach who can get them from tank to champion, because I think Will Hardy is like a Mark Daigneault kind of guy, and that's also scary to me. I'm like, if we get a Utah Jazz dynasty, I think it's like we just need to pack it up. The NBA, we just need to pack it up.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, anyways, you got the next one.
Biggest conflict of interest. There's the main character of trade deadline season for a long time was Giannis Antetokounmpo, and there's this whole thing where he don't want to be the bad guy and demand a trade. Everyone, teams are trying to trade for him, but none of the offers are really that good. He's been in and out of injured status. His calf's been fucking up, which is always scary with all the Achilles tears that have been going on lately. There's been a whole bunch of variables in play. Teams are juggling as to whether or not they should try to trade for him. The Bucks, no idea whether or not they should try to trade him. Can we do enough to convince him to be happy? Blah, blah, blah. Apparently, he has an ownership stake in Kalshi, which is it's basically an extension of the you can now bet on anything culture.
Yeah.
Like, it's a prediction market where you can bet on some pretty depressing shit, if I'm being completely honest. You can bet on some
Yeah, you can bet on like whether or not like Russia's gonna hit a certain city with a drone strike and like that kind of shit.
Yeah, it's that I don't know if it's that specifically, but it is that in spirit, definitely.
It's pretty bleak. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm
so
pretty
this
sure
guy's
you can
been
bet. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure you can bet on something like that. Like, I'd seen something where it's like you can bet on like predicting if like, a government's gonna fall kind of shit. Like, it's pretty bleak.
And so dude's been at the center of all these trade rumors, and obviously people are betting on, whether or not he's gonna get traded, and then he just stays put. And he's kind of been stoking the flames of these rumors with all that like, I don't want to go, but if I do, it'll be all right. Like, if I do, I'd want to go here. And then nothing happens, and Yeah, so it just feels a little bit.
And then 10 minutes
later, he could
later,
manipulate that market to make some money, were he so inclined. I'm not saying that he is, but if he was that type of dude, he could absolutely.
Yeah. So, did you say the superlative? I actually missed it, but I was just listening.
Biggest conflict of interest.
Yeah. Well, and especially because the timing of it was that he also released this announcement, like, I swear to God, like 10 minutes later, or like. It was the same day.
Right after the trade deadline passed.
It was right after his whole like Wolf of Wall Street, I'm not going anywhere shit.
Oh yeah, he posted the meme. He said
memes.
What do you say? Legends don't chase, they attract, or something like that. And it's like, congrats, you got Cam Thomas relations big dog.
Oh good, you have Cam Thomas and Kevin Porter Jr. on your team. And yeah, I swear it was like this announcement was like fucking 10 minutes later. So it's like, wow.
Pablo Torre gonna be going through a lot of documents in the next couple of days.
I suspect that Giannis could be joining Kawhi and the NBA stars being investigated by Pablo for.
I don't know if Pablo's gonna find out, but he's gonna try.
At least Kawhi Leonard had like the smarts to mostly not talk about it and keep his mouth fucking shut.
He posted an ad like on Front Street, man, like that shit.
Yeah. Well, then the next day announced he's like investing in Chelsea. And then someone on Twitter was like, is Giannis planning to retire? Like, what is happening? I mean, it was actually, but...
How bad is that calf? Damn.
So, Brian Windhorst conspiracy, like, tinfoil hat and fingers on. He also talked about the fact, like, in the offseason, he talked about that he, like, wants to raise his kids in Greece. Like, he wants to move back to Greece.
Shit, me too.
And that was happening... Well, yeah, who doesn't? But, like, that was happening also it was around the same time that Jonas Valanciunas was like seriously considering going back to EuroLeague. But Giannis, even when Ronaldo got paid all that money in Saudi Arabia, Giannis was like openly talking about how like if Riyadh or somebody offered him money to play in Saudi Arabia, like he would take that much money too. And I know he was joking, but it was also like I think he probably would. And like who am I to count someone's money? Because especially knowing how poor he grew up and everything, I'm not gonna count his bag. But at the same time, like maybe have some scruples, homie. Like holy crap.
One scruple. A scruple.
And
it's sad because like going into the trade deadline, like there was this big interview with the Athletic, and I felt very sympathetic for them through the whole.
Yeah,
thing,
you're like go read this, you'll feel better. I'm like okay.
Because he was talking about it, he was like, people talk about it just from a basketball angle, but there's really like a human element to this. He's, it's not just about the Bucks, it's about the city. My father was buried here. My sons, all their passports say Milwaukee, Wisconsin for their birthplace. I feel like a real attachment to here. He spent his whole adult life in Milwaukee. Yeah. Like it's a real thing. Like he really is. That city is a major part of his life. And then like, man, this shit comes out. I'm just like, man, I mean, that part still may be true, but it just makes me feel a little less like I have slightly fewer warm and fuzzies now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it cheapens it for sure, right?
Yeah,
it's like
it's less romantic now.
And I think that's been kind of the whole like, and I was listening to the Zach Lowe, Kirk Goldsberry kind of wrap up the trade deadline thing, like their pod from last week, and Kirk was like, I've just found Giannis very annoying during this whole thing. And I'm like, same. Like, he's just been really cringe about it. Because say what you will about James Harden, the man doesn't care. Like, he's just going to request his trade. It's different. The circumstances are certainly different. Especially with the Clippers in this case. But it's just like, I don't know. I'm like, Giannis, like, my brother, please. Like, these conflicting messages constantly and, saying that you didn't say that, my agent did. And it's like, okay, but we know that you pay your agent money to be your agent. So, like, let's not act like you have no agency in this here. And then, yeah, you're like, oh, go read the article. You'll feel better about all that. And then I did. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, you're right. Like, the human element of it all does make it it's more complicated than just basketball, and it's not fair to demand someone just make a decision about their career and, that includes uprooting their lives, because most of us don't really have that attached to our large career decisions either, right? And I was a little more empathetic towards him, and now I'm like, for fuck's sake, Giannis, like, come on. Like, come on. And I think that's always something with him that the last few years I've been starting to feel is that he's very self-conscious and very, it's all about the image for him, and but at the same time, he's also does not have the same sort of almost like media training that like LeBron and them have. Because he just like doesn't seem to or just doesn't care about the appearance of, how just weird that is. Where it's like, you've been literally open and talking to, like, you did 2 different exclusive interviews with reporters. And then 48 hours later, you announce this partnership. And I'm also surprised the NBA allowed it to happen, given what's the rules around betting and what athletes are allowed to do. So kind of wild.
Yeah, it's I don't even know how that falls in the the betting world as far as what the NBA allows and does not allow. I truly don't know what the rules are. Everyone is making this shit up as they went along because they wanted that gambling money so bad, and I don't think they thought through the consequences at all.
The NBA not thinking through the consequences of its actions, shocking.
Adam Silver, I thought you were playing 4D chess out here, my guy.
Skeletor? Nah. He's like the rest of them. Yeah, but also speaking of, since I mentioned his name, the next superlative here, little good segue. But the largest need to keep the star happy move would be James Harden to the Cavaliers. So the Cavaliers, as we mentioned earlier, are trying to keep Donovan Mitchell from being like, fuck Cleveland. So they gave up on Darius Garland and were like, give me Jim Harden. I'd like Jim. I would like one Jim Harden, please.
Big game Jim, as they call him.
Yeah.
Game 7 Jimmy.
Better hope you win your playoff series in 4, because you're definitely
Man, you better whoop their ass, because it's not going well if it's close.
I mean, yeah, I think there's two things to read into this. Like, on the Clippers side of things, I don't think there's much to read into. They want clean cap sheet for 2027. They didn't want to pay Harden long term. Harden saw the writing on the wall and was like, I love Los Angeles, but I'm not playing for a discount. Deuces. And fair enough. Honestly, it was like his least messy breakup in the last little while, so respect. But from... excuse me, the Cavaliers side, two things. One, remarkable that they're just cutting bait on Darius Garland. That's just like a huge vote of non-confidence for him, which crazy. If he balls out for the Clippers, that's always a risk, which I think he will. But then secondly, too, it's like it's obviously that they're just trying to keep Donovan Mitchell happy, and that means they need to win and not flame out hard in the playoffs the last few years, like they have the last few years. And I'm not sure why they thought James Harden was the guy to stop that from happening. But here we are. He does help them, legitimately. There are, in all seriousness, real basketball reasons where I think he does help them. He'll release a lot of pressure off of Donovan Mitchell, and Harden is a very good off-ball shooter, etc. He's willing to be off-ball a little bit more the last few years. But he does definitely take some pressure off of Mitchell. So it is good, and hopefully it'll also help Mobley and Allen a little bit, having a bit more of a kind of lob point guard kind of guy. But I don't know. Not sure why Jim Harden was the choice for we need to get over the hump in the playoffs. Let's get James Harden. That logic is just flawed to me. But
yeah,
what do I know?
They got a lot older real fast, too.
It really
That's like
forces...
a 10-year age difference.
It's really forcing the we have to win now kind of vibe, which is fair. A part of me is also wondering, though, if they're low-key giving up on Evan Mobley by pushing this right now the way they are. Because obviously their contention was relying on the fact that he was going to take another big leap like he did sort of start to, and then he hasn't. And then now by getting rid of Garland and getting a much older player, like a much more win now kind of player, like it feels like they're kind of just reorienting the team around Donovan Mitchell rather than Evan Mobley and kind of forcing the timeline, like you said. So I don't know that they're obviously giving up on him, but I actually would not be surprised if in like 2 years, even a year, he's like a potential trade target for people. Like he might be available. I mean,
it feels like they definitely gave up on Garland, who was like a two-time All-Star. So it was a little surprising to see them let somebody like that go. Was he like 26?
He's 26.
You know what I mean? But he's had
the
a
injuries.
couple of down seasons in between the up ones. He's had some injury problems.
The chronic turf toe thing, I think.
I'm still just surprised though. But I mean, I guess Cleveland felt like we're not going to do it as we're currently constructed. We flamed out in the playoffs too many times. We got to shake it. And that's not the direction I thought they would shake it in. But they had to shake something up, I guess.
They were going to trade Garland. If they just thought if they were going to trade Garland, they'd trade him for more. I think before the deer, and especially, I guess, too, I want to know when they made this decision, because at the end of the day, like, if you went into this season knowing that you were probably going to get rid of him, you could have traded him before. Like, they had an opportunity last year to probably get some good shit out of San Antonio for him. And then the De'Aaron Fox thing materialized, and they went that route instead. I know they were interested in Garland. That was a thing that was talked about, like, pretty widely, so I feel like the Cavs were just, I don't know if they expected him. They were just trying to, hold out and not lose faith and not cut bait too early and hope that his injury situation got better, but the toe injury thing is definitely, I think, problematic But for the Clippers, I mean, it's a great move, because at the end of the day, like, if they're ready to pivot from a team that's based around Kawhi and they need, a young star to kind of anchor the building going forward, I think Garland is a really fun player to choose to have to do that. It's good for them, I guess, but yeah. Perplexing move. I mean, I don't know. I understand why it happened on every level. It's just I don't think it was probably the player I would have chosen to go after.
Yeah. If it works, they'll look like geniuses, but I'm not that up.
But will they? Like, at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I guess maybe My bias is I look a little too much at the future, and I tend to like value like the future of the organization a little bit rather than having everything because of how like especially with the Cavaliers like how they had to like how hamstrung they were after like LeBron left and all that stuff because they had maxed everything out to keep him happy, and then it fails, and then you have to like wander through the wilderness and be sex land and whatever forever for a while, and then now you finally have this good team. You already accelerated the timeline by trading for Donovan Mitchell, and as soon as you do that, you're putting yourself on the clock. And I'm not saying that, and obviously it worked. The Cavs got really good and they've won a lot of games, but it's like feels like they're kind of throwing some good money after bad in terms of trying to like win in the playoffs, when I feel like maybe there was another move they could have made. I don't know what that is though, in fairness. So, but I feel like someone like Ayo Dosunmu would have been more useful in like alleviating some of the pressure.
You would think
and
as like a third guard come off the bench behind those two, but I just don't know what the asset situation is like for getting him. But it's a good player.
But I feel like he would. I suspect you wouldn't have had to give up Garland if only because the money wouldn't have worked. Garland makes way more money. So, but in that case, maybe if you're going to trade Garland, you get more than one player. Like at least maybe get more for him. Then you get another young guard in Dosunmu and maybe something else like Herter or whatever, just to add more shooting. Like you could have maybe just gotten more. I don't know. Just kind of weird. James Harden's just maybe not the player I would have targeted. That also just could be my bias. I'm not really sure. But big shot James is not really what He's no big shot Bob. So I got nothing.
I'm surprised Dosunmu moved because I mean he's shooting the lights out of the ball this year. And
Chicago
it's like the
didn't
Bulls
want to
are
pay
just
him
like flush with shooters. They got to pay somebody eventually.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the Dosunmu, because I think part of the issue is they're gun shy after the Patrick Williams thing because they paid Patrick Williams and then he turned into not. They bet on potential. It didn't go well. I think the problem is that they waited on Dosunmu to see if it worked, and now he's had one really good year of shooting, and they're like, okay. Feels Jimmy Butler-esque. Except Jimmy had, I guess, a longer track record of being good, but it feels kind of like they're just betting on the fact that they'll get something better out of the other guards, and they just want to clear the cap sheet and start fresh is kind of the vibe I'm getting. I think they want to build around Giddey, and I don't know if I don't know. Keeping Dosunmu would have been smart, but whatever.
You would think. But, can always pay more for players from outside instead of, just re-signing dudes from within. But maybe Chicago thinks there'll be players in free agency, but I have my doubts. That franchise has not been very good since the Derrick Rose, Carlos Boozer, Joakim Noah era, so, yeah.
Yeah. Tough out there in these streets for Chicago. At least they have the Bears now.
Man, yeah. At least Caleb was out there slinging it. So
that's something that hasn't been able to be said since roughly 1985. At least there's the Bears.
Yeah, the quarterback situation in Chicago has been just. Jim McMahon had been their next best since like.
Rough out there.
My God, man, like.
Didn't Jim Harbaugh win Comeback Player of the Year just because he was on the Bears? Pretty much. Yeah.
Depressing.
Yeah, one of my best friends, shout out Andrew, is a Bears fan, so I was pretty happy for him this year because I haven't had a lot of opportunities in our friendship to be happy for him during football season.
Once upon a time, I was convinced that Kyle Orton was like pretty good, not like elite. I'm not a lunatic, but like I was like, hey man, Kyle Orton is not bad. He didn't really last that long.
Well, remember when they won a playoff game or went to the playoffs with Mitchell Trubisky, and you're like, maybe Trubisky's actually like okay, maybe they did something good, and then you're like, oh no, he was never that good.
Every year, Mitch has like a game where you're like, wait a second,
there's something there.
Is he nice now? And
no, he has one game where you're like, we got to figure out how to make money on this, and then it fails epically.
Man, the Bulls haven't won 50 games since 2015, and they won exactly 50 games that year.
Yeah, they've been wandering in the wilderness. But I mean, job security seems to be a thing because Karsinovis probably shouldn't have a job anymore. And he's had one for a bit. I mean, Paxton and them kept their jobs for like an eternity too. So I don't know, Bulls fans, it's tough out there. I mean, I think they got some fun players. Like it's like not like they have some complete dog shit on their team. Like Buzelis is fun. Getty's actually been pretty good. They've got some good players. They've got some players, but it's just the trade deadline was a little perplexing.
They're so irrelevant. I forgot Billy Donovan was still coaching there.
I feel bad for Billy.
They don't have anyone scoring 20 points a night. Kobe White was their leading scorer.
Yeah. He was the only reason,
Giddey, I should say.
He was really one of the only reasons to go to Bulls games. But anyways, I believe you're up with one of our... Oh, we're down to our last 3. Nope, I lied. 4 or 5. I missed 2 in the middle.
Biggest trade if it was 2021 goes to the Washington Wizards. Who would, I mean, if you fired up 2K21 and you got yourself Trae Young and Anthony Davis, like you went in, like,
and got
your friends don't even want to play you. Your friends wouldn't even want to play you. They say, hey man, fuck that. You can't pick the Hawks or the Wizards. I mean, you can't pick the Wizards. That's not fair. But I mean, it's one of those trades that, like, in theory, you're like, wow, okay. And Trae Young could set up Anthony Davis, a super athletic big with long arms for oops. They got Alex Sarr, who's, also, got a little perimeter game, can finish at the rim. They'll be setting them both up for easy buckets, and they're both long and rangy enough to make up for him defensively, but that's not the reality we live in 2026, unfortunately. And it's getting harder and harder for teams to get away with having a complete, like, non-entity on defense. Like, it's just harder and harder to do that. And the fact that Trae Young's three-point shooting has cratered in the last handful of years makes it a lot tougher. I mean, he shot 30% from three this year, 34% the year before. 2 years before that, just 33% again. He's not quite the shooter that was advertised. A lot of volume, but not the most efficient. The field goal percentage has been abysmal the last few years. He can get you some free throws, but...
The Wizards essentially just traded for two players who have better reputations as jump shooters than they are actually as jump shooters. Because Anthony Davis gets respected from anywhere from distance, even though he left his jump shot in the bubble. It's still somewhere in Orlando.
His jumper fell off too. And he was a nice mid-ranger before, but that shit fell off. That fell off.
Yeah, he was lights out in the bubble. But I mean, as much as everyone's like making jokes about the trade, us included, I actually don't really hate it for the Wizards because on paper it looks like they gave up a lot, but they didn't. Like, in reality, they gave up Chris Middleton, Marvin Bagley, Tyus Jones, AJ Johnson, Oklahoma City first-round pick this year, so it's going to be like the last pick in the draft. The 2030 first-round pick from Golden State, which is like probably the one that has the most value, but they didn't give up any of their own picks, and they still have a bunch of stuff. Plus, like, they do need to, again, like you said earlier, you got to spend money on somebody because the cap floor is like pretty high, and the Wizards are barely meeting it. So it's like the worst thing that happens is you traded basically nothing for these two players, because then for Trae Young they traded like a bag of chips. Basically they traded CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. They got Trae Young and Anthony Davis essentially collectively for like a decent charcuterie board. Like they didn't really give anything up. And the chances of Anthony Davis actually opting into his team option or his player option are probably low, because I doubt Anthony Davis wants to stay in Washington. So it's one of those situations where, like, even if he plays for like a bit this year or came back and played next year for 1 year on his contract and it didn't really work out, like, no, well, maybe they can flip him for some value too, right? Because that's the other thing. The Wizards probably, in reality, what they're trying to do here is just like they saw an opportunity of some distressed assets who will get some butts in seats because they need to sell tickets, because that's been an issue. Is Washington
not this year, because Anthony Davis will not be playing this season, and Trae Young.
Yeah, but even next year, like I think this was another future kind of looking move. I think they're incentivized to keep their pick this year, anyway, so they're not trying to be good. But at least next year you have, two star level players who can hopefully kind of lift up the young guys a little bit. Maybe it's a bit more entertaining. Best case scenario, you actually kind of are spicy and you're at least winning some games. Worst case scenario, doesn't go your way and you didn't really give up a lot to get those two stars. Maybe you can flip them for some value, and maybe you don't have to. Maybe they're actually like, I think Trae Young was born to be a Washington Wizard, so that seems right.
That's a tough destiny. It's still better than most destinies, but it's a tough one by NBA standard.
Honestly, all things considered, I would rather play for the Washington Wizards than do what I do currently. I'd make a lot more money and get to be a professional athlete, so could be worse.
Yeah. I would be, oh my god, if I was a Washington Wizard, I'd be like a club demon. I'd be that guy who I'm gonna go get my 15 and I don't give a fuck if we win and I'm gonna be outside afterward. That's the best way to cope with that situation.
The nerdiest thing came to mind for me too is like I would definitely get like whatever kind of pass I could get for the Smithsonian museums. I'd spend all my time.
Oh, they're all free. They're all free.
Okay, you don't have to get. I knew they were free the one time because I've been, but I was on a school thing, so I genuinely wasn't actually sure if we paid or not.
I went for a 4-day back when I was in the military. I went to DC and I just for free just pull up. I went to, and they're all like 4-hour excursions. Like they're incredible.
They're huge.
Museums.
I know.
They're amazing.
Because they only had 45 minutes in the Aerospace Museum, and I was pissed. Yeah. So
I did Natural History Museum. I did the National Art Gallery. I did the Black Smithsonian, which was new still when I went. Incredible.
When was that?
Fucking incredible. So there was the National Museum of African American History and Culture. It's a big like black angular building.
When did it?
It has
open.
What's up? Oh, they probably opened in like 2016, 2017. I went in like early 2018.
I went in 2010, so it wasn't open yet.
Yeah, amazing museum. Like they have this walk basically. It's like literally like a mile and a half in like actual distance, but it winds from like the bottom and goes all the way up to the top.
That's
like the March of Progress,
actually, right? So that's actually exactly like the Human Rights Museum in Manitoba.
Yeah, it goes from like early slavery days all the way up to like the modern era, and
Yeah.
there's some stuff in there that like I cried multiple times
Oh, I'm
in that
sure.
museum. There's
Yeah.
some powerful stuff. There's also like a cool like pop culture area outside of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. That's cool.
It's super dope. All like
So
Jay Dilla's NPC and like Bootsy
nice.
Collins's like costumes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. It's amazing.
I mean, Smithsonian's solid. The only museum that I was actually the least impressed by was natural history, just because I've been to the Tyrrell Museum, so I've seen better dinosaurs.
The
The
Neanderthals
other
are cool
parts
though.
were cool.
The
The
Neanderthals are
other
cool.
the other parts were cool, but the dinosaur stuff, I was like, meh, I'm not impressed.
Well, Canada
Because
got the best dinosaurs, right?
we have the best dinosaurs, yeah. Not Canada, Alberta specifically has the best
Those
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs are third place in the Atlantic Division right now.
We have our own dinosaur, the Albertosaurus. So, yeah,
Terrible.
yeah. But
It
hey,
sounds like it's just named after a dude named Albert.
it's pretty badass though. So yeah, no, I've seen better dinosaur because I think the Tyrrell has one of the only like we have one of the most complete T-Rex sets in the world. So, but yeah, the Smithsonian's are cool. The African American Smithsonian, it wasn't open yet when I was there because I was there in 2010. I was there for a Holocaust and human rights like thing. So we were there for because I'd done like a it was like an extracurricular kind of thing, and every week we had to come to Calgary and do like lessons on the Holocaust or whatever, and then we got to go to DC. And we went to the National Holocaust Museum, which was really cool. Same thing, very emotional. But the human rights, the Canadian Museum for Human Rights or whatever in Winnipeg that got built, it is the same as that Smithsonian. So you start at the bottom, and it kind of like this museum's a bit broader. They talk about like different, mostly like human rights wins and like things in Canada. So it's a very big. It's more specifically to like about Canada, obviously, but it's not. They have different areas, and as you go up this ramp, and my friend and I called it the ramp of justice, but you just like, yeah, you kind of go up a ramp to different areas. Like the one floor was about like the general strike and stuff like that, which essentially launched labor rights in Canada, things like that. They had a lot obviously on residential schools and indigenous rights, and then they had a lot on like Africville and the Underground Railroad and like
Yeah.
that stuff too. It was a very cool museum, but it's a really way, I love that way of formatting it because it feels very interactive. And yeah, those museums are cool. I definitely would like to check that out. I want to go back to DC. I really liked it. And I'd like to go back as an adult because I was like a teenager. So I'd like to
There's
go back
a
now as a fully functioning adult.
In Atlanta, there's an amazing civil rights museum that I
Heard
went to.
about that. I want to go really
It's
bad.
weirdly located next to the Coca-Cola Museum and the biggest aquarium in North America. It's in the same plaza, but it's so cool.
That's
I
that's
love
like
it.
Kentucky. The Muhammad Ali Center is like across the street from the Louisville Slugger Museum. It's kind of weird.
Hey, he was a
The
slugger
Muhammad
in Louisville
Ali,
too.
actually, the Muhammad Ali Center is really cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
want to check
super
that out.
cool, super cool museum also.
But
Um, yeah.
back to the DC
The point
basketball
of this
team.
podcast.
The
Yeah.
the big thing will come down to how much are they going to re-sign Trae Young for, and or will they re-sign him? Like he's got a player option for next season for like 50 mil almost.
I would
And
be shocked if he didn't pick that up.
assume he'll take that. The question is, can they get him at a discount going forward? He'll be 20 when that kicks in. When his extension's on.
I think it just depends how well he's playing next year.
Yeah.
Because if he is like clearly like the floor raiser for the team, and they're like, if he balls out and goes back to like 2021 conference finals Trey, then they will not get him at a discount. Whether or not they sign him for the complete max, I don't know. But if he's playing at that level, then I mean, fuck it, why not, right? Obviously, he's a floor raiser at that point. And they've got some nice little pieces around him. Like, I think they've got some kind of fun stuff. But if he's playing like he's played the last couple years where he's been fine but not great, then I suspect the Wizards will have a lot more leverage to re-sign him because I don't know that he would be much of a trade asset
Yeah,
as an
he's
expiring
got
contract.
4 seasons where he's played less than 70 games, and this season just 10 so far. And then you got Anthony Davis.
I mean, a lot of that is not very, that's transparently like
it's just bad
intentional, though.
luck. It's just bad luck, but
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah,
yeah,
his
and
injuries
then,
are not anything chronic.
yeah. And then Anthony
His injuries
Davis
worry me less
obviously
than like Giannis.
Anthony Davis obviously has his own injury history. He won't play the rest of this season. He only
Yeah.
played 9 games last year. 51 before that. He's got some 40, 36 game season, a 56 game season. Like they got him for 2 more years after this one, at which point he'll be 34. I wouldn't expect them to keep him after that.
Yeah.
He feels like either help us accelerate our rebuild real quick. Get us some competitive basketball, and then
So Alex
part
Starr had to play
ways.
defense and then move on.
Right, or we hope he has a great season next year, and then the season after that, the team desperate for a championship that needs a rim protector, and they say, hey, we have this Anthony Davis hanging around.
Would you like? I will give you one
How about-
Anthony Davis
yeah.
for
How about your 2034 and 2035 firsts when we know all your players that are competing for the championship are going to be old and your team is going to be ass? Like, how about those?
This move feels, the Wizards trade deadline feels kind of like the next team I'm going to talk about, where it's a move about the future, but it's just like a little in a different way. So unlike the Pacers, which they're winning the biggest what the fuck superlative, because they traded for Zubats just completely out of nowhere. So Ivica Zubats is now a Pacer.
I didn't know he was available.
Neither. He's like basically been the best player the Clippers have had outside of Kawhi Leonard for the last few years.
And like when they LA dude too.
And well, yeah, because he got drafted by the Lakers, and then the Clippers like stole him out from under the out from under the Lakers because LeBron didn't want him anymore, and he wanted fucking Mike Muscala. And Zubats went to the Clippers, and then pretty much developed, and he was basically just short of being All NBA last year. Like, he's a very good player. Him and Harden had amazing chemistry.
I heard for him. He went to USC and then went to the Lakers and then went to the Clippers. He has been in LA his entire adult life. He's so much so. I saw a clip of him talking. So he's from Bosnia, right? He's from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yeah. I heard him talk in a clip maybe a year or two ago. I don't know, but I heard him talk in a clip a couple of years ago. And I heard his voice and I was like, oh my God, he has bits of like the South Central LA accent mixed in with the Bosnian accent. I was like, he's a real LA dude now. He's a real LA guy, and now he's gonna live in fucking Indianapolis to a team that has like 13 wins this season. They better hope that next year when their boy comes back, that it's gonna look a lot better. Because I would be genuinely not happy about this.
As much as I don't ever want to say this, I actually do feel pretty bullish that the Pacers will be back to being a good team, just because they've also, outside of Halliburton, something that's kind of largely gone undiscussed is actually just the sheer number of other injuries they faced. Because Obi Toppin's missed almost the entire season, Andrew Nembhard missed a big chunk of the season. Yeah, a lot of players were injured, and they've been missing a lot. Pascal has, to his credit, played most of the games. He's also raised his floor a little bit. They've found some stuff in Furphy and some of these other young guys. So I genuinely do think that once they have everybody kind of back in place the way it's supposed to be, it'll be better. And I think Zubats, and that was always the thing too, is that you can see the skeleton of a good Pacers team once Hallie is back on the perimeter. The problem is like, what do we do with the big man situation? Because that was their biggest hole once Miles Turner left. And now they've adequately filled that. And I mean, again, all they really had to do, they gave up some picks. They gave up Benedict Mathurin, which, to be honest, they weren't going to pay him anyway. They gave up Isaiah Jackson, same thing, weren't going to pay him. And then I
didn't really trust Mathurin in the playoffs sometimes either.
Well, like he's just one of those. He's like a Cam Thomas. Well, no, that's not fair. He's not quite Cam Thomas.
French, Quebecois, Cam Thomas.
Kinda like same sort of mold of player. Like he's a bucket getter for sure.
Cam Thomas.
But he's kind of missing Cameron. But he's kind of missing some of the like just other parts of his game that make him more valuable to the Pacers, because they have enough scorers, especially because Pascal can get you a bucket. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't need Benedict Mathurin to be like oh shit, there's 10 left on the shot clock and we need a bucket. They're not giving it to Benedict Mathurin. They're going to give it to Pascal, or even Halliburton can get his own, or Andrew Nembhard's even like really stretched his games. They gave up their own 2026 first rounder, but that's protected with some weird protections that they'll probably manage to keep. A 29 first rounder, which probably won't be very valuable, and then a 28 second round pick. So, like, they didn't give up a ton for Zubats. Oh, they also got Kobe Brown for whatever that's worth. I don't know what that means, but
cool.
Yeah. The Zubats thing is a really big, I think it's a good move. I think Zubats will fit really well with Halliburton. He can play with a bunch of different types of guards. He's a smart player. I think he'll fit well. But I did not know he was available, that's for sure.
Nor did I. The Clippers definitely surprised me a little bit.
I suspect this was a sell high situation where I would like to know who made the call first. Like, I'm curious if Kevin Pritchard and them were just like calling around like, hey, y'all want to get rid of Zubats? And they're like, maybe, you know, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if the Clippers kind of put out in the world that he was like quietly, you know, because they all have their bat signals. They'll send out messages. I'm curious if they were quietly like, he's available. Or if the Pacers were just randomly kind of like, oh, shit, he is? Well, I'll give you a Benedict Mathurin and some draft picks.
As much as the Clippers owner likes to spend, eventually, man, them aprons come. And, like, you can't do shit. Once that second one hits, you can't do
I'm just sort of surprised that they didn't want to keep him around for their next iteration of their team. Because, I mean, he's not that old.
It's like 28.
Yeah, and, I mean, 2027 is when they're aiming to have all their cap space. So, really, like, not this coming off season, but the next one. So it's not that far away. So I'm just kind of surprised that they didn't want to have even like the fact that he's just, again, like you said, he's an LA guy. He's been a Clipper for I mean, he got traded there in his rookie year, basically. So he's been a Clipper his whole career, on top of being an LA guy.
Man.
Yeah, like you think
he probably danced with his elbows out. He probably wears khakis and flannel and shit. Like he probably
yeah. But no, probably. But you know what I mean? It's just weird. I definitely just thought it was a strange move, but I guess, I mean, maybe the right sell high opportunity just came to them and they're like, well, gotta clean them books. Maybe they're expecting something to come down the pipe with this Kawhi investigation. Who knows?
That has not been resolved yet. Adam Silver's like, we're taking this very seriously. We're looking into it. I have heard.
It seems like it's gotta be wrapping up.
I would fucking hope, because it's been can't be that complicated unless they're gonna like just sweep it under the rug. But there's gotta be something there, man, because he didn't do a damn thing to promote that shit.
Yeah, he really didn't. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Strange. The Kawhi thing, though, I think we'll probably get more of a resolution like near the off season. Unfortunately, I suspect maybe before the draft because of draft picks are involved. But I guess these investigations probably take a while. I don't know. I mean, we all know that these lawyers are going to claim every billable hour imaginable, so, yeah.
Working with billable hours is the best kind of work. The best.
Especially when it's like hundreds of dollars per billable hour.
Oh my god. I as a PR person once charged somebody like for like thinking about tweets for like 2 hours or some shit. Like
it's a genuinely magical experience when you get the opportunity. It looks like while we've been recording, there was a Pistons Hornets brawl.
Who won?
I don't know.
My money's on the Pistons.
Yeah, me too. Yes, for sure. ESPN won't let me look at it, so I don't know. But
did they beat up Miles Bridges?
I hope so. That would be a public service if they did. Anyway, do we have any more superlatives here? Do we want to do a quick little Panda Watch update on our favorite women's league?
The clip popped up in my feed as we were starting, and I thought it was like an old clip. Isaiah Stewart is chasing Miles Bridges in that shit. Like he's trying to get at him. Bridges wasn't even in the game.
Beef Stew is my hero. I need a Beef Stew jersey immediately.
Yeah, Beef Stew chased him across the court. He started swinging on him.
That makes me so happy.
Vigilante justice from Isaiah Stewart.
I was gonna say, I don't generally condone violence, but when an abuser is involved, not gonna condone it. Good for you.
Shit, yeah. Isaiah Stewart was Bridges threw a punch at Duran, it looked like, and then Isaiah Stewart raced from the bench, ran all the way across the court, and went beeline straight for him. Like Duran wasn't even chasing him at this point.
My man.
Stewart came out. He's about that action.
I love him. He's gonna get suspended
shout out to him, man.
He's going to get suspended for an eternity, but I love him. Or I mean, he makes enough money to pay his own fine money, but like I love him. That is amazing. I would like to chase Miles Bridges across the court angrily, so I'm glad someone else did it for us. Someone who could actually beat his ass.
Yeah, Bridges started backpedaling real fast.
That is the news. That made my day. That really just genuinely made my day.
Shout out to the Pistons, man. The spirit of the bad boys is still alive. Ugh. Shout out to them.
Yeah, I love that. And that's why that's why they can never get rid of Beef Stew. He is like the emotional, like he's the spirit animal. He is like the second coming of Bill Laimbeer, like, and all the other bad boys, like, you know, he just uses his fists.
Hey man, sometimes you gotta take the law into your own hands.
Yeah, you sure do.
Shout out to the Matt Barnes quote is recirculating. Violence is never the answer, but sometimes it is.
But sometimes it is. Isaiah Stewart, you magical man. I love him.
There were rumors last year the Knicks were going to trade for him, and there's a part of me that wishes it happened.
Rochester, New York native.
Hey man, shout out to Western New York. I unironically like Western New York. Shout out to that area.
Fair enough. Never been, can't say, but I do love beef stew.
I fuck with Buffalo heavy. I haven't been to Rochester. I fuck with Buffalo heavy.
I fuck with beef stew, so I'll fuck with Rochester as a result. Anyways, yeah, quick. Any final superlatives? You want to do a quick Panda Watch, aka WNBA update, and then
WNBA had a little meeting. Had a meeting on Monday. Apparently, ain't shit happened, man. Like not yet.
So I guess for anyone who's never seen Anchorman, Panda Watch is when nothing's happening, but we still got to give an update, and that's pretty much what the WNBA labor negotiations are currently. It's Panda Watch because fuck all is happening. I mean, Kelsey Plum was like fucking racing across an airport with Fee to get her there. And then, yeah, the WNBA hasn't come up with any new proposals since December. So it seems like a bit of a standoff, and we're more and more just heading towards a strike. And I feel really bad for ticket sales managers in the WNBA currently, because I don't know how anyone does their job currently while not knowing if there's going to be a season. So
it is starting to feel a little lockouty. Just a little.
Just like a little. And they
Not
already did
overwhelmingly so,
technically.
but a little.
I don't really know what triggers a strike at this point. Like the PA has already approved a strike vote, so they just have to be like, all right, fuck it, we're striking. Like I don't know how that works, but or do they have to wait for the WNBA to lock them out? I don't really know what that means. But I'm from Alberta. We don't really have unions here anymore, unfortunately, or the ones we do have don't have teeth. So I've never really had the opportunity to participate in a strike. I don't know how this works.
Real pain. Real pain.
Yeah, the labor. Anyway, it's a whole thing. Just ask the Alberta Teachers Union. It doesn't go very well for you when you try to collectively bargain with this government.
Sources have told me things are better in Edmonton. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I have no idea.
Sources say the WNBA are taking their negotiating tactics from Danielle Smith, so it's going to be a long ride for the WNBA players.
Hey, it could be worse. It could be one of any of the Fords.
No, Danielle's worse by actually at least Doug Ford is not openly campaigning to become part of the United States. So
that is concerning.
Yeah, no, actual members of the Alberta separatist movement were meeting with Trump and other people recently. It's a whole thing. It's a lot of American money currently in Alberta.
I forget sometimes there are separatist movements in Canada other than Quebec. Y'all have a lot of secession issues, it turns out.
It's actually only been Quebec and Alberta essentially that have ever done this.
Prince Edward Island hasn't tried to join fucking Rhode Island or some shit like that?
Yeah, right? No, Newfoundland was the last province to join in the 40s. They held out as long as they could. They held out till after World War II. But everyone else is like, fuck this. But in the 90s, so it was both in the 90s, the Quebec tried to separate and then the West tried to separate. There's never been a referendum in the West though, but Alberta's trying because that's where all this nonsense is coming from right now. So anywho, it's kind of fucked, but yeah, luckily for the WNBA, they don't have a non-withstanding clause that can take away their rights to negotiate. So, thankfully, the players don't have to deal with that. Kathy doesn't have that lever to pull, thankfully. But we'll see what happens. Speaking of Ontario, though, and the Fords, how do we feel about the wine?
You set me up to give the Fords credit for the wine, which I will not do.
You know, they don't deserve any credit for anything ever.
A decent Pinot Noir, I gotta say. I'm enjoying it. Between the first recording and the second one, I've actually finished the bottle, which is pretty cool. And you pointed this out, and I noticed it too. It's surprisingly smoky.
Yeah, it's a 2023 vintage, which makes sense given all of the forest fire smoke from all over Canada and the United States. It's flooded into all parts of Canada and the United States and wine growing regions everywhere. So wouldn't be surprised if there was actually a little bit of smoke. They don't mention it in the tech sheet at all, but it doesn't taste like the kind of smoke that comes from oak aging, which they do oak age this Pinot Noir. It comes more. This tastes like fire smoke, but it's not bad. It's not my favorite Pinot Noir. It's almost it's not as ripe as California Pinot, but it's not as crisp and cool like a French or Oregon or even BC Pinot Noir. It's kind of a weird in between. Generally speaking, I can't say I've ever been a big fan of Ontario wine. It's just the climate's not my favorite, but it's not bad. I would hit it again. If someone offered me this, I would never be ugh, it's gross. Yeah. But it's not my favorite. I wouldn't go out of my way for it.
I probably wouldn't buy another bottle, but like you said, if somebody offered it to me, I'd be like, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, if someone brought it to, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I'm not gonna. That'd be my first choice, especially for the price point. It wasn't terrible, but definitely higher for.
I know you prefer
quality.
The Wayne Gretzky Cellars.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, sign me right up to burn that place down. Anyway, Trader. Since we can't practically burn down the White House 1812 style, we're gonna just burn down Wayne Gretzky Cellars. It's basically the same thing these days.
Leader of the Alberta separatist movement.
It's like Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, he's in Arizona now, I guess.
He's an Arizona/Florida man. So
I don't know which one's worse, to be honest, but Canadians interact with them both on a regular basis.
But I don't know. That just seems like degrees of terrible. So any other
do you like a dry hate or a wet hate?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Do you like your hate with a side of humidity or no?
Yeah.
Alligators or cacti, your choice.
Do you want dry skin or your hair to be frizzed out, while you're getting racism? Yeah.
Do you prefer rattlesnakes or alligators? your call.
Oh, that's a good question. Scorpions in the toilet, or you know what I mean?
Or alligators,
or literal hurricanes. I don't know.
I think I choose scorpions. Hurricanes sound terrible.
Yeah, I can't swim, so we ain't doing that.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, any other final thoughts before we wrap this up?
I heard there was a football game yesterday. I don't know about it. I hope it was good.
Sources definitely say that there was a game. And,
shout out to Bad Bunny.
Yeah, he named every country in the Americas, which was fun. Pissed off a lot of people.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So
shout out to Puerto Rico, man.
Shout out. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, the rotting corpse of Twitter at wineanddimepod. Yeah, we're finally back after some technical issues. We'll be back on our regular bullshit, I guess, going forward.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
All right.
Peace.
Until next time.